Welcome to the Super Dash channel. Today I'm sitting down with Jason, the designated leader for Vegeta's Saiyan army. How are we doing today?
Hey, what it do, baby? What's up, Robbie? How you doing, buddy? Thank you for having me over.
For sure, man. Definitely go like, subscribe, hit up his YouTube channel, Vegeta Saiyan Army, right here. Today we're just going to be going over a couple different things. We're just going to be chatting mostly, but first we're going to be going over the set 11 cards and just going through each color one by one, kind of just talking about if any of the cards are going to be meta worthy, anything that kind of sticks out to us, anything we're personally going to enjoy playing. All right, so you want to start out with the red cards?
Yeah, man. By the way, it's so nice in here. I'm looking around. You got this channel so much nicer than mine because I'm so new at it, and I know you're good at computers, man. It looks nice in here, man. It's not, I might stay here. I might
Makes
live
sense.
here from now on. All right, but if you guys are looking over here, the first one is the Gogeta leader, and it's crazy because I think it has the same kind of abilities as the last one, but it loses out on the counter skills, a bit less on the hand, maybe drawing. But what do you think? I like this guy. Red Gogeta stuff is amazing, but this leader is really good as well.
Yeah, I think just what you hit on, I think it's going to be, if we're going to be running into the baby decks a majority of the time, because obviously the Gogeta leader that pretty much limits your opponent to playing like one of those counter cards a turn, that's going to pretty much set you up to if you're using this leader or that leader.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's my buddy yesterday. Ken was telling me how he's gonna use the old one, so that's cool. All right, so what about? I'm looking at the red Broly leader, and I feel because I only tested the decks in this set once, unless they were Vegeta leaders, so I tested them like 100 times. I tried Broly once, and it felt great because you could do the chain really early, but I didn't like my hand much. What do you think about him? What do you
That
think about
that
the
was
Broly guy?
exactly what I was worried about. I haven't played any of the set 11 stuff. Me and Jason are actually going to go through a couple battles, I think, today, and actually set up this Broly deck to test it out finally. But I was reading through the cards. I was trying to set up the deck the best way that I could using only set 11 stuff. And that was exactly what I was worried about. I was like, wait a minute, how am I drawing? Where am I plussing out with these cards? Because like you said, we're doing the Broly chain early, so that's already, if you can get like 2 or 3 cards out of your hand, that's 2 or 3 cards out of your hand with no other plus.
Exactly, but you are hitting their hand, which I noticed.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like I always felt like the red Broly deck should have been a green deck, and then the green Majin Vegeta should have been a red deck, just because it's so aggressive. But either way, so the Gotenks Unison, when I first read it, I thought it was horrible. But then testing it with the new Red Gogeta leader, it's amazing because you're just drawing 2 every turn you're doing your Union skill,
Hmm.
and the -5 also felt really undoable. But just the plussing of the counters and how quickly you can get to the dual attack double was actually pretty relevant. Do you have any ideas for the Unisons, or do you like this guy? What do you think?
Well, let's see. So here's how, probably how it turned out. You play this down turn 2. There's no more pluses coming out. The unions, do you have to pay for those, the new ones? Or are those pretty much free? You just have to have the materials in hand.
Oh no, you well, some, but yes, the ones that are gonna be plussing you. Oh man, I think it was a 3 energy play.
Alright, so see, let me look here. Like, how are you getting, so you play this for 2, it's at 2 markers.
Well, remember the leader untaps 2. The leader on this leader untaps 2, whereas the other one only untapped 1. So again, I think that you're gaining. You might be gaining some draw power eventually from this Unison that you're losing out because you're not the old leader. And you're also fetching the extra card, which the 1-drop extra card is really good. We're going to get to it eventually. But you're missing out on that counter ability the old one had. So it's kind of give and go. If you're playing Red Gogeta, just test them both, see which one you like. That's always my advice. But the new one just feels so much smoother than the old one.
That's
But
good
the
to
old
hear.
one does have like a crazy ability, yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I kind of wish, just like looking at these at first, I kind of wish like the draw of the kind of Gogeta and Gotenks, the way they work, was with the Broly package. Like if those were like combined into
Oh yeah,
one deck, that would be super meta. That'd be so good.
dude. You say that, and then you'll have like a Broly deck with 10 cards in hand, and the opponent with like 0 cards in hand.
Dude, I hope
That's
that's
why
the case.
Piccolo was crazy, because Piccolo drew a lot, and he killed your hand. So
Mhm.
he'd have like 11 cards in hand. That was crazy. But okay, so I'm moving on to Kale. What do you think about? Because I fail to see how this Kale's good. Do you see anything in her? Am I blind?
Well, this is the unison I'm running in the set 11 Broly deck, and I was looking at her, and I really like it because I was like, okay, I'm able to get a card from this auto. So I was like, that's good. You add it with you add the markers with the swap. That's good. Hopefully your opponent just kind of leaves it alone for a little bit, and we can't forget about the 3-drop Bardock. That was
Yes.
it had 2 markers to it, 2 or 3,
Three.
3.
Three. Yeah.
So that's huge. I think that's going to be kind of like the playmaker for these unison cards is like kind of sneaking these -7 and -5s on turn 3 with those with that Bardock.
That's a good point. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much a Bardock does. Because I feel like with 3 energy, you can do a lot more stuff.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure. All right, are you using the Raditz super combo? Because I love the Paragus effect of like bottom decking 2 or bottom decking a card and drawing 2.
Yep. I put that in there.
Okay, so you got the Raditz. I'm looking at the Goku technique. And by the way, all these new Goku and Vegetas, I've been saying the Red Gogeta deck. The Red Gogeta deck has like you could run a 90 card deck in that because there's so many cards for it. Are there any of the Goku and Vegetas that have your attention? Do you like the technique Unchained? How do you feel about that whole
Well,
lineup?
my biggest worry was like how useful will the skillless cards be?
Yep.
Because skillless cards, they're pretty much just like dead in hand. You can charge them, but like how useful will those slots in that deck be? Like, could you use some of the older few like the older 1 and 2 drops for Gogeta, or are playing the skillless going to be worth it with these 2 cards?
I think it is. So the reason why I think Red Gogeta is so good is because you can literally have like 1-drop 20Ks swing at your opponent, and then after the 1-drops 20Ks hit, you can like bring him back to hand. You can play I was playing the fat Gogeta, I forget his name, and like the skinny Gogeta for free.
Veku.
Yes. And then with this leader, I forget what it was called. It was Birth of a Saiyan or something.
Yeah,
Birth of
that's
a Saiyan was like this extra card, and it's really good with the skillless cards you were talking about. So to your point, the skillless cards are super needed, I think, if you were going for like a storm engine kind of thing, because you can do so much with the 1-drops, and then you can play like the 1-drop 20Ks that bounce it all back to hand. So your hand is high and you're aggressing a lot.
Yep,
So
that's true.
I find it to be pretty good.
That's true. And the you can use the skillless cards for the what is it, Union Fusion? Is that
Oh
what
yeah.
the new
Oh yeah.
yeah. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah,
Yeah.
you can pitch them with those. That's not bad.
Okay, so out of that, we agree. I think that it's a pretty good deck. Now the Broly SR, I'm just confused on because I hate saying something's bad or something's great without having testing it enough.
Hmm.
And I tested it once again, and it felt good. I just hate that the card damage that you do into your opponent's hand, it's gonna be returned at the end of the turn, like next turn. So I don't know.
This kind of this effect brought me back to the 4-drop hit that came out like really early in the game. That
Oh
we
yeah.
thought was going to be. It kind of was relevant. It was a good like game ender. But I think beyond that, I think giving those cards back, just like the 4-drop, it's going to turn out to just not be worth it. And I hate to say that because I love Broly and I was really excited for this deck. But I think just with history, I don't think it's been proven that getting rid of those cards for like 1 turn like will win you the game. I think if you play this and you swing for game, it's worth it. But if you don't plan on finishing your opponent, I think it's just kind of mediocre, I guess.
Dude, it's crazy that you compare it to Foreseeing Hit, because in saying that I doubt this card, and you compared it to Foreseeing Hit, I feel like I now get the value of it. So Foreseeing Hit, I mean, it did it for the turn, but it was just like a finisher.
Hmm.
For seeing hit was like my favorite card for like a long time. For seeing
I
hit,
loved it too.
yeah, like, and there's like no counterplay to it, like besides maybe Bloodlust back then or
Yeah,
like
at the
Pressure Ball.
time at the
Yeah.
time it was a free card.
So it was just amazing. So okay, so if you're playing it as a finisher, which I feel like, of course, is what people are doing, and then obviously it goes into the secret rare. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty great. So I do really quickly before we move on from Gogeta, I want to ask you: do you like the Gogeta finishers, or are you liking the old ones better? Because these come in a little quicker.
Yeah, I think that's the. See, I gotta look at the old ones again because I skimmed
So the
through
old
them
ones?
when I was looking for targets for the brand new secret Broly. But I didn't exactly. I didn't. I don't remember the effect on them. I do know that they all have like the permanent. This card can't be KO'd, right?
Yep, yep.
So I don't think the old ones have deflect. Is that correct? I know this.
Oh, I don't remember.
This
It
5-drop
wasn't
has
relevant
deflect,
back then to me.
and
Yeah, I don't know.
that's just about what. If the rest of them don't have deflect, I think this 5-drop, and okay, so the 6-drop doesn't either, but the 5-drop
You're right.
one does. It does have deflect, and I think that might make it a little bit easier to play it because, like we said, counterplay is just it's in the game, like it's in all of the top decks except for Vegex, and that's kind of what we have to work around. And I think that's why this like just swap in general is so hard to play. Is because we have so many options of just like getting rid of those cards once they come out.
Yeah, you know what? That's a mark of a good player, somebody that looks at how much value is a card and how much does it cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at the old one is 4 energy, and then this one is 3 energy for very similar effects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, yeah, deflect is a lot harder to hit, and you still have the not being able to KO. And the Gogeta stuff goes into the secret rare, which is the new one. So that's pretty amazing. So okay, now you convinced me. So yeah, I think it's the new one. I think is the play. The Broly swap though, I believe you can do it like as early as turn 2 to 3.
You awaken yourself with the field spell and the I'm running the promo 1-drop. Did you run the promo 1-drop in your
No,
testing?
sir. The one that brings out the ba, right?
Yeah,
You're talking about
yeah.
the one.
You
Yes,
have to,
yes,
you have to send that life to the drop area, which super sucks. Like
Yeah.
that promo card would probably be double its value if it didn't do that and put it in your hand instead. But still, you're getting like pull out that ball from your deck and take a life. So you're gonna be awakening probably turn 2 by yourself.
Okay. So if a friend asks what red deck to play, and I care about this friend, I think I'll tell them to play Gogeta. But I'll be looking out on your channel to see what you do with Broly, because I feel like a good player can make Broly good. But we'll see, because I really don't know.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be like exactly like the green deck. Actually, I think it's gonna be you kill your opponent turn 2, or you just kind of sit back and hope they don't have any way to kill you.
And speaking of clapback, because after like Vegeta, the green deck you're talking about, goes ham, he does have dormant potential to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
And Red's free stuff, I don't want to say it's as good defensively as Green's, but we do have the new Violent Rays card, and I think it should be talked about because it's not being talked about enough. And if you haven't played Violent Rays, you should check it out. What do you think about it?
You put 4 of those into my testing deck.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
so we leader. Yeah,
it's so good. Because if you're running the Paragus, the new Paragus, I think it's a 2-drop. You can pitch it with so you play this card. You can use it's not a cost. You're negating the attack, then may choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. So you pitch that Paragus, and that Paragus brings back a 4-drop into your hand.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. So okay, so I didn't know. That's actually awesome. I hadn't tried that, but the reason I like Violent Rays is because, like, if you're playing against yellow, you're avoiding the Nimbus. You swing with a battle card first, or you swing with a leader first if you're avoiding something else. But Violent Rays gives a defensive player the ability to pick what he's gonna shut down. Mm-hmm. So you either can attack with battle cards or 20k or more, or your opponent just can't swing with unison cards, right? With 20k or more. So that's like, I don't know. That card is being, I feel like a little bit slept on. Is there anything in red that you want to discuss anymore, or because
No,
next
that's
is
about
baby?
it. I think you hit really good on the violent rays. The only thing I was thinking about real quick, what um do some of the new unison cards, do they get over 20k? Because the first thing I thought about was the Bardock activating triple attack, and I'm pretty sure, does he get 5k? So does he go to 20 with that?
Yeah, he's 20k. So he gets 5k. He's triple attack 20. Also, the green. I'm just talking. I think green is a color I'm more used to. Green.
I love
You've
green.
got the Broly. Yep, yep. So if I swing with Vegeta first, you can violent raise and then choose the unison. So I can't swing with it. In blue, you've got the dual attack, and I think that if you're playing blue seriously, especially Vegito, you're gonna be wanting to play the oh boy, the SS3
Yeah, the
Unison, and
Gogeta.
he is yeah,
Hmm.
right, and he's dual attack 20k, so it stops him. I believe Janemba is a very the Unison for Janemba is a very played card right now in Vegito
Hmm.
because Janemba's that Unison that gets critical and triple strike with Vegito, but I don't remember he gets a pump. I believe it. No, it does. It does get a
It
pump.
does, yeah. I've seen
So
it.
that's yeah. So it does stop a lot of unisons. Like anything that stops unison, because nothing really stops unisons besides like a few cards. So anytime you can add something that hits something that nothing else hits, it's gonna help your deck.
Hmm.
But okay, so I know you're playing Broly. What are your thoughts on Baby? Are you playing Baby? Do you think it's a best of one deck now that Koitsukai is still around? Do you
Yeah,
think
so
it's best of three? How do you feel?
yeah, you brought that up in your video earlier today. But I'm super pumped for Baby. I'm super pumped for SS4 Vegeta. Um, Baby, I think, is going to be a really fun deck. The deck that I put together for our testing, I was looking through, and I know that's been compared a lot already for like what blue is becoming with this set. But when I played Magic, I was always playing blue black. And making this deck, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm playing a blue black Magic deck right now. Just because like every turn I'm like pretty much saying no to whatever your opponent's playing.
Exactly, and that's funny because I played Red and Aggro just because I feel like haste is amazing, and I loved white. So now I can't wait for life gain in Dragon Ball if we ever get it.
Are
But
we? Have you heard anything about that?
no, 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 no. I'm just saying.
I hope not.
I don't work. I don't work for that. I'm just like, no. I'm saying like
You
I
just
hope
gave
one
them an
day we get
idea.
it.
They're
No,
gonna
no, no.
come out with
Because
a teaser, bro, and we're gonna be screwed.
no, I just liked white. That's what I'm saying. But so okay, so for baby, yeah, exactly. So blue is usually when the game started was like energy manipulation, and then yellow was counterplay early on, and now yeah, this feels very much like very control magic kind of counter with baby.
Hmm.
So I love baby. Not only do I love the character because I just love baby, but if you look at any of my old decks, I love counterplay stuff. I love negates. I love that. So this deck is right up my alley. And I've never ran a ramp deck, right? Because that's what SS4 Vegeta is.
I'm actually the one to talk to about that because
Let's go.
I'm a
What do you
huge
think?
fan of Android 21, and I don't have a deck on Untap right now. But after this, I'll actually show you what I've gotten together. But I've been trying to make a ramp deck that's as consistent and can keep up with pretty much everything in the format. It's been super difficult, but I think with this new set, I think that might be changing a little bit, hopefully. Just because
All
there's
right,
a
maybe
lot more counterplay options that can help you not die turn 3 in blue.
so maybe we can test that spice tomorrow.
Hmm.
Maybe we can give it a go. Yeah, see how it goes. So Vegeta, yeah. So ramp, it's not that I don't like it, or I never had a deck that I wanted to rank because at the time I was playing Pan or Red Baby, so I never messed with like Gogeta ramp. But I'm glad this Vegeta has it because it brings back a lot of old cards or that weren't as good. Like I'm testing so many weird cards in Blue Vegeta SS4 that I didn't think I'd ever test with, and it's so creative. And I'm seeing everybody post their Vegeta decks, and they all look different, and I love it because it gives people the identity of like playing with whatever they want. So
Um,
let me see. Yeah.
I know we've I mean everything's been relevant, but we gotta go off on tangents a little bit. But you brought up the fact that it's like so fun that you're seeing so many different people play the same leader so differently, and like playing cards that just sometimes like before this just weren't usable. And that's like one reason I really like where the game's at right now, because when you go into a tournament, you're not gonna see the same deck besides Vegex. That's the one exception right now. But pretty much like everyone is able to make the deck that they want to play and like make it how they want to play it, and to add in whatever spice they want and it be like competitive enough. And that's a great thing to see in a card game like this.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing about ramp because it gives the people that creativity and the fact that we don't have like Gogeta 7, because Gogeta 7 forces everyone to play the same thing. And even though I love Gogeta 7, I do understand why it was banned. But
I was so sad.
I have a few friends. I feel bad, but like, come on, bro. Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about? So we have the Trunks Baby Unison, and we have the Goku SS4 Unison. Both unisons that I understand why they're so broken, and I can't see myself play them over like Zeno Unison for some reason. How do you feel about them?
If we're trying to ramp, we're 100% going Zeno. I think you mentioned like you like your unisons to be at about 6 in your deck, and I think this SS4 Goku and possibly like the new baby one here, we have tons of options now, but I think those are two pretty good options for the two slot that you have available. But I think Zeno is 100%, like if you're looking to ramp, I think that's like the main one you're going to be using still. I don't think any of these would fit in a ramp deck unless you're like trying to close out the game and play it like late game, like the baby. If you went ahead and paid like the 5 or 6 energy and -5'd it, that would be like a great just like game ender pretty much.
Yeah, and the Goku does, and and people complain that it's like 5 cost, but you have to understand that when you play it, you're like time walking. Like your opponent can't swing the next turn. I mean, they can, but they're not gonna want to. So I understand its value, and the -2, I just don't like bouncing. You know what I mean? But it does get rid of everything ignoring barrier, right? So it's a give and go. It's a little weird. We have the SPRs. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people with the baby cards. How splashable do you think some of these negates are? Because they're such good negates, and I'm talking about the floodgate ones. I'm talking about the Gohan and the Vegeta, right? That are like the Topo Righteous Aids of blue. Are you playing them in Vegeta or in any other blue decks, or are you just keeping it like with baby?
I think they're pretty splashable in any blue deck. I don't think they're they're not leader specific, but they have, like I said, they're pretty much the topos for blue. So I think they're gonna be staples in a lot of blue decks that just kind of do something with like 1 or 2 energy on their turn and pass. Any strategy like that, I think these cards are going to be absolutely relevant. The only downside is we're not playing that. Isn't the field spell that makes it like cost 1 less? I think that's like the only thing you gotta account for. So like the 4-drop Vegeta, you're gonna be paying 4/4 instead of 3, and that might make it a little more difficult to play. But I definitely think like the Topo ones, like the Gohans, I think those are pretty nice staple cards for. They're 2 costs, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they get reduced, and the Vegeta untaps 1. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. I feel like if you have the energy, which a lot of blue decks do, I believe that the cost of being a little more expensive is okay in blue, because blue is so good with energy, usually.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's fine. Whereas the cost in red is dropping a card, and you're telling me that that's fine because I have cards like Paragus that facilitate that. So it's wonderful, I feel like. And I feel like it's something blue needed. Blue needed that little wall of defense against white decks. And it also needed the removal, which a lot of these unisons give you. And it also has the mid-range that a Booney has. And now finally, which, I mean, we have Android 17 turning the tide as a finisher. But it's not an easy finisher, right? Like 17, you don't just slap it and win. You actually need a bit of a board or something. How do you feel about Baby? The 30k triple strike counter as a new finisher.
I'm loving that card. I think it's really good to pay 5. because you have to pay 5. It can't even go down below that because of the specified cost. But I do think if you're not playing aggro, you don't play this card against aggro. I don't think you're going to be able to, because pretty much once you use this, you might have like 1 or 2 energy up after that. Let's see, choose up one opponent. So it's play this card. So it negates a card from coming out, and then you get to remove a card ignoring barriers. So it's a 2-for-1. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Against like storms, against anything that's playing more than 2 cards a turn, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to play. But I think, how many times were you able to get the combo off with a 4-drop? And like have
every
that
time.
5-drop sitting at the bottom of your deck to play out?
Oh, every time.
Every time?
Because if you so that's why I love this deck, because it's so consistent in finding the 5-drop, and I see people running it at 3. So when I play a deck and I have something I need, like the 5-drop, I play it at 4. If I see it too much, I go down to 3, right? And I kept going down, and I'm at 2, and I'm always finding it. So the way the turn goes for me, right, is I would either use the leader skill, or I would swing and use the super combo skill to bottom deck it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've gotten all of my drawing out of the way, I would wait for the next turn to use baby, or I would counter if they negate, right?
Yep.
If that makes sense. So all you have to do is save your last bottom deck and your last draw, right, for that attack. Because if they negate, then you baby 4-drop. If they don't, you pass and you wait for them to attack, so you counter attack. It's so hard to explain, but like once you do it once, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have to save your last bottom deck for the baby 5-drop, and then as soon as they attack, you go to the 4-drop. Or because you have the option to use the attack or the counter for the 4-drop. And if you do it that way, you're bringing them out for 3 energy. You still have to have the 5 energy, but even though baby isn't a ramp deck, you're gonna get pretty far in energy. Like the games go long just because of how much you're negating and extending the game. But yeah, like you said, like I love the baby deck, and yeah, you can splash it in other decks and do it for 5, and it's still amazing.
Yep.
It's just in baby, it's a lot cheaper. I don't think it got an SPR, did it? The ape?
No, we got the baby Hatchiac. That's what we got.
Horrendous. Unreal.
Dude, we'll talk about that here in a second, but yeah, I think the baby deck it's a wonderful blue deck that we were given, and it's like really hard to say, because back in the day, like, blue was a little bit difficult unless you were playing that Gogeta. Like, you didn't really have like a game ender unless you're playing a Foo or something. You didn't have like that nice blue finisher.
Yeah.
Especially
exactly.
doing like any counterplay interactions like these 2 cards are doing. And I think that it's so flavorful. I love it.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, so let's pivot a little bit into the Vegeta, because SS4 Vegeta does have 2. I don't want to call them finishers, but we've got the ramp Vegeta, and we've got the Goku 7-drop. How do you feel about those guys?
Let's see. Let me get over it. They're on the first.
Yeah, so the 7-drop Goku, what he does is when he's played, he blows up an energy, right? And every turn, at the end of the turn, I believe he blows up. So he blows up 2 energies when you play him, and then every turn he blows up another energy. So he's locking your opponent, basically, where they're at. And he has like a remote serious bomb built into him. In my opinion, I feel like if you're going to use 7 energy, use them to win. And the Vegeta uses 6 energy to grab 4 cards from the top of the deck and ramp as many as you want of those, or draw the rest. So how do you feel on the 6 and the 7 spot energy wise for those decks?
I'll go ahead and talk about the SS4 one first, because I already have that pulled up here. I really love this ability, and the deck, some cards I was thinking about splashing in to like maybe a blue-yellow deck. No, it's just a blue deck. Was the Goku Black cards. Don't forget about those.
Oh yeah.
That does pretty much a similar thing. And I was like, how funny would it be to pretty much set your opponent to turn 0? Just like, so the Goku Blacks, I think they have to be at like 3 or 4 energy or something, 5 energy to wipe a couple out. But if you mix this SS4 Goku into something like that, you're pretty much going to set your opponent to turn 0.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's going to be fun. But these as like closers for the baby deck or like the SS4 Vegeta deck, I think these are great options because especially if you're ramping with the SS4, pretend we get this 7 drop out turn 4.
Exactly.
You're getting
Yep.
rid of how much energy? Two of your opponents.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
this card sticks and you attack with it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Which not a lot of things hit it. Like, I mean, I guess you can God Sealing Trunks it. I mean, you can do a few things, but it's
The
gonna
green
hit
counterplay.
usually.
The green counterplay hits it. It just hits it because it's at 7.
Yeah, but you still blow up 2 energy.
Yep.
I believe,
Oh,
or
one.
one, and you still KO one thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, you can hit it, but I mean, like a good player, like I'm never playing a card that valuable if I see that my opponent has 2 markers on a green card that's a unison or a unison period. Like a lot of that is reading your opponent. It's like poker. Poker, you don't play the game, you play your opponent. Like
Exactly.
But so let's see. Before we move on to green, the best negate in the game, and it's a promo. We don't see it here, but just imagine if Dimension Magic drew a card, and I think that card, that negate, it's called Big Bang Vegeta or Big Bang whatever, and I feel like that card is the reason why I'm not worried about Koichikai, because if they use Koichikai, blue still has so many extra card negates. But yeah, that card is just nutty with Punic Tuffle.
Yeah, I got to pull
Yeah,
it up here and untap real quick. But yeah, it's blue. As long as your leader is a blue baby, negate the attack, switch up to 2 of your mono blue to active mode and draw a card. And in the baby deck, it only costs 1, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
It's a bean and Dimension Magic. Oh my god. But yeah, I think
So
it's gonna be hopefully not too pricey, so I can get like a play set of them. But that card is super nice.
good luck, bro. Good luck, bro. But all right. So moving on to green, we have Gotenks. And okay, as soon as I read the Gotenks leader, the first card that I thought of was the Ribrianne that wipes the board for 5 energy. And she's like a 30k triple striker, and when she's on rest mode, she's like a deadly defender.
Yep.
I just like as soon as I read the Gotenks leader, have you had
Oh
have
my
you had any
god! I
chance
just
to
read the
test them
back.
at all or what?
I just read the back of the permanent.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
does that just lock your opponent?
Oh, perfect. Okay, so if you're just reading the back, yeah, man. So if your opponent leader can attack the battle cards. Now I feel like this skill, if you're a great player and you're a great deck builder and you have a great understanding of the meta, you can build something great with this guy. But he isn't gonna be an easy deck for anyone to just pick up and go in and beat Vegex with it. You know, like.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, so like if you're running like Android, the Deadly Defender, Android 18, I don't know. Like you can get really creative with this deck. I'm not sure, but I mean the token thing is really cool too. So I think it requires a lot of skill just to get to it. Just because I feel like, and moving on to the Vegeta, like if you're looking at green Vegeta, you just have a deck that's like the new green Gohan.
Yes.
Like it's just the new best of 1 killer. Like if you over prepared for like any deck ever, Vegeta's gonna punish you. And that's why I love and aggro. If I were to pick my favorite thing in the game, it's aggro. I punch you as hard as you can at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you can punch me back as hard as you can at 5:01, and I'm gonna punch you again. And if that doesn't land, I'm dead. And I love that, especially, and I know you've been to major events, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever taken a control deck, but it sucks because you're there for like, it feels like 20 hours and you're just playing 8 turns. But with an aggro deck, you're in, you're out, you live or you die, and I love that about Vegeta.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point. This is definitely like the best of 1 deck for green. Because Baby's going to be... And you actually mentioned this in a video you posted today as well. People are going to be playing like the new hot stuff, as you said.
Yeah.
So if you sneak in something like this, I think that's also a reason why like Kid Coup always did good. When it got silent and then people brought like one person brought it to like a big event and just did super well. Because people just weren't ready for it.
Exactly. Yeah, Kid Coup never fell out. You know what's funny? I don't know if you remember when they made Chronoa, right? When they printed Chronoa, people stopped playing Shugesh for like 4 months, and then some kid brought like Ginyu veggies to like a rant, and nobody was playing Cronoa because everyone got complacent and just stopped playing it. And this kid like mollywopped everybody with it, and I wish I remember his name, but it was the coolest thing. And I'm like, wait, did somebody just take Shugesh veggies to an event and like top with it? And he's like, yeah, nobody was running Cronoa. Everybody just forgot about the deck, and people lose sight of older strategies all the time. So I totally see what you're talking about with Kid Goku, because Kid Goku's still great to this day. Like, so it's just funny. What do you what do you feel? Have you? And I haven't tested it, to be completely honest. I'm looking at the green unison for SS3 Vegito, Peerless Warrior. How do you feel about him, and how do you feel about Dark Broly? Because I have tested him, and he's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I expected Dark Broly to be super amazing. I think a lot of people do. I think the big question is like the SS3 Vegito here. Revenge, I'm actually really excited that they brought it back, because one of my, like, just a random card that I really liked back in the day was that King Vegeta card. They gave something Revenge. And like, I don't think there hasn't been too many cards since that has been printed with Revenge on them. I don't know why. But I think there might have been like a couple in between like this set and back then. But that was super fun to see, and I really hope that something like someone's going to make a deck possibly around Deadly Defenders in this unison, because it's like, all right, fine, swing in on stuff. And I'm pretty sure, doesn't this Revenge get around Barrier? Is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So if you can do something like that and keep like your Deadly Defenders out, I think it's gonna be a pretty fun archetype.
Yeah. So I mean, so it's just Revenge has this ability of yeah. So you're just killing. I feel like the reason why it's not around much is because it's so powerful to kill like so many things. And although I hate the King Vegeta ruling, it makes 100% sense if you understand the steps of attacking and all that. But this card's really... You know what's funny about the Revenge thing, about the SS3 Vegito? It's a +2. I love it when a cool ability is a +2. Because if choosing all of my mono green battle cards and giving them Revenge was like a -3, I'd be like, But this is the +2. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's really cool. It's really relevant. The Dark Broly I've actually been testing a lot. The reason I don't like it so much in Green Vegeta, even though it's great and I love it, is because turn 3 feels like a backup turn for Vegeta, because I'm just winning on turn 2 so much. But winning is like a is a burden right now. So going to turn 3 is like a bummer. But so okay, so how do you feel then about, because I'm looking at the Vegeta deck, the Gotenks deck, what would you recommend maybe for a new player? Because I feel like Gotenks is really cool for like a control player, and it does. Revenge is so, like you said, specific, and we haven't seen it much, and I feel like it's really cool for somebody to have that available as a deck.
I think it's like what a lot of this game is. I think it's, you pick your style of play. Like if you like getting materials in your hand and union fusioning and pretty much using that as your win con, I think doing something like Gotenks is going to be the more fun route for you. But if you like you said, just busting your opponent's face in, I think we're just going with the Majin Vegeta. So it's pretty much, do you like mid-range or do you like aggro? And then that pretty much picks it for you.
Right, because if you step out of your lane sometimes, it will, like when Janemba was the best deck in a game, I was like, well, that's not my playstyle. So like, even though it's topping like as much as I want to, it's just not. I don't know. It's not what I'm about. So, but one cool thing, because you mentioned skillless, and it's a perfect segue, because in yellow we have Sun Gohan, and I did test this, and it's so cool. Like, I don't know how good it's gonna be, but dude, on paper, like, you draw like 5 cards in your Awakening turn, you're busting out people for free. Have you had a chance to look at the Gohan? How do you feel about skillless in general? What are your thoughts on? This is the cutest artwork on a card ever printed.
Yes, I agree with that entirely. That was actually I really want to play this deck just because of the flavor of it. But I think, and I hate to say this, I hate to say what I'm about to say, because there's like a lot of stuff behind it. But I think I think it's a 2-drop promo, the new Son Gohan card. Have you looked at that yet?
No.
I
Oh
think it's
yes,
like a
but I don't
two.
remember what it does. I did look at it, but I was looking at the other promos and I was having like a stroke because of how cool Vegeta was. So I don't remember what the Gohan did. I'm sorry.
Agreed. But yeah, I was gonna make a video about this at some point as well. Just promos being like so hard for players to get to.
Right.
But when I look at this deck, I just remember that promo, the Son Gohan one, and it's so fun because you pretty much play it, and there's so much plus. Here, I'll try to pull it up so I can read it to you.
Oh, I see it now. I remember what. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, this is great because, I mean, you're playing. Okay, so I see what you're saying. I don't think it's super necessary because I think the deck is just good just because of the skillless cards. This card does facilitate. Thankfully, has unique, but the deck on itself just I feel like is so plus just because you're drawing I think 6 cards, but you're dropping one, so you're kind of drawing 5. But yeah, you're talking about okay. So let me read it out loud. It's Sun Gohan and the Higher Dragon, best buddies. Unique. When this card is played, add up to 2 yellow skillless battle cards with energy cost of 1 and different card names from your deck to your hand. Then shuffle your deck. For activate main for 1 yellow. If your leader card is yellow and you choose one of your yellow skillless battle cards and place it in the drop area, you play this card from your hand. So yeah, like that's awesome because you're kind of drawing 2 and playing 1, I guess, for 1 energy. But it's kind of overkill. Like the deck swarms so much. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's funny because it's yellow. Like we're so used to doing this with like black and pretty much it was just black that was doing this with like Kiku and Vegex. But it's super fun that we actually have a new color that we get to do this with, which opens up so many different things because it's yellow, and we know so many great yellow cards that could possibly go into this. But just the skillless part's really cool. Are you going to be running the Unison with it, the Goku? The like little kid Goku one.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that thing seemed absolutely insane. Like I was reading that and I was like, oh my goodness. Like at least you have to sideboard that just for the permanent. Like you at least have to sideboard it. And you're also playing. Like if you look at the economy of the card, I know it's 3 energy for a 15k, just at the basics, but I mean you're playing 2 more attackers, so you're getting 3 attackers for 3 energy. But if you're to answer your question, I'm not sure if I'm playing that because the aggressive player in me is thinking just pay 2 for the other Unison that plays other skillless cards. I'm not sure. We'll see. I feel like this deck you can get so like I'm waiting for somebody to make the yellow-red version of this. Maybe play it with like you know what I'm talking about. So like I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So like I'm waiting for someone a better skill because I don't play skillless, but it's so exciting because you say that yellow isn't your usual color for that because black is, but yellow, like you said, has such a bigger card pool. I mean, you want to shove Raider's Warcry in his deck just because it's the best yellow card, but I don't know if you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny how much yellow option has.
Yeah, you're gonna be tapping out mostly, but it's just gonna be like Vegex. You're just gonna be plussing the board, and your opponent either deals with it or is just gonna die by turn 3 when you have like 10 battle cards out.
Exactly right. So speaking, and by the way, this is exactly why I'm playing. What's the 2-drop Goku that stops your opponent from swinging if they have 2 drops on board? Whatever. I'm preparing for the 1-drop Weenie Apocalypse because.
Oh no.
What was I gonna say? It's coming, bro. So all right, so we both like the Gohan deck. Garlic Jr. is one that I was reading, and I tested it by myself, right? So not against someone, just on a computer, and I felt like it needs like a good finisher, and I don't know if Garlic Jr. was a better finisher because I feel like Gohan did a better job of having like a bigger board. Garlic Jr. goes a little taller, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like
doesn't this have kind of like a similar play style to the baby where you're playing like the cards at the bottom of your deck? Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because all of the Overlord stuff. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I'd have to play it more. It didn't seem too it didn't seem very good when I was playing it, but I could be wrong. If anybody's playing Garlic Jr., go to the comment section. Let me know how wrong I am, because it didn't feel very good. So let us know about Garlic Jr. But again, just like Robbie said, like you are on the one of the best colors, maybe.
Yes,
I mean, you can
100%.
just slap. Yeah, you can slap like Raiders Warcry. I mean, you can play some heaters in this stuff in yellow. So as we're talking about yellow, we do have the Sin. Anyone playing Sin Shenron right now, like we have so much support, and we don't even have all the dragons. I think. Do you by any
No.
chance play Sin Shenron or?
I do not, but I do have a question. If go ahead and finish up, like if you're one to kind of introduce the support that's coming out, but I just had like one thing that kind of concerned me about what all the new cards do for that
Yeah,
deck.
what's up?
So basically, I was wondering because a lot of the stuff does it put from your drop area into your deck? Is that what like a majority of this? Let's see. This card's played
Oh, you're talking about that? No, it does it from the field.
from the field.
Yeah.
No, but doesn't it play? Hold on, let's see.
Oh, you're talking about the Garlic Junior cards?
Mm, okay,
So
here
the
it is.
server,
Here it is.
yeah.
I'm looking at the 4-drop Super Shinron Pain Absorbed.
Oh, you're talking about the Shenron stuff. Yes.
Oh wait,
Okay.
we're looking at
Yeah.
the. Do you want to look at
No, it's
those or the
okay.
garlic stuff?
No, yeah, Panabsorb. No. I just didn't know what you were asking about. Okay, so yeah, okay.
Yeah, my bad.
So
But yeah,
before,
those.
no, it's perfect. Okay, so I'm calling it Naruto because it sounds just like Naruto.
Yeah.
But I feel like in Senshin Run, right? Once you get your 7 dragons revealed, or 6, or how many there are, I feel like for now the best ones to play are Sin and the Naruto one, and then you're gonna have people might play one of Haze or something, just so that the tap 6 ability can bring out a big boy
Yep.
and not like a 1-drop ball. But Naruto feels like the best one because the promo has the ability to like crusher ball anything, and I just feel like that's so cool. And okay, so there's the promo, and then there's the one you were talking about. X Evolve for 1 with the Naruto Shenron energy cost of 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you play this card, you place 3 Shadow Dragon cards from your drop area at the bottom of your deck in any order, and this card gains dual attack. Okay, so the reason this is so cool is because now you're recycling your 3 to 4 drops that you're playing from the deck with the ball, because you 1 energy play a ball, and then 1 energy bring it out from the deck. But if they're being taken out of the deck late game, an ability like this really helps out the consistency of your Dragon Evolve. So this is really cool. Just when we thought Sin Shenron couldn't get better, we forget that they haven't been revealed so completely. So that's cool.
Yeah, well, I was just worried about it because doesn't it that the leader you pay 6 doesn't it play from drop area?
Exactly. So that's different. So when you pay 6, you want to play big finisher dragons, right?
Okay.
But remember that when you play the 1-drop into the next one, it plays from the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So because remember, since Shenron plays a very late game, and when you're playing a late game, your guys are going to get removed. So if you want to play another dragon and you don't have any left in deck, you're just going to be like, oh, there's none left in deck. That sucks. So the Naruto Shenron lets you put it back in a deck, and it's just really helpful. Because I mean, you can lock your opponent out, but if you can't play any more dragons, that kind of sucks. And yeah, as far as playing things from the drop, I've never seen a Shenron player have a trouble with not having enough dragons.
Yeah.
And the drop area, like I said, they're probably gonna run 2 chains. They're gonna run 2 chains. They're gonna run
Two
they're gonna run the Sin Shenron and the Naruto, and then not run the chain for Haze, but just run like a 2 of, just so that when they tap 6, they're playing like 2 good like kind of finishers. So okay,
Gotcha.
so
I got
going
the benefit,
into
yeah, I got the benefit of that a little bit better. 'Cause,
yes,
like,
absolutely,
we're gonna
yeah.
want stuff like this to be in our drop area, and then just be recycling like the actually important chain of the deck.
Exactly. Right.
Yep.
So okay, so going into black quickly, I'm gonna ask a very basic question. Do you think, and this isn't a trick question, I'm literally asking, now that Baby D is limited to 15k combo, are any of these decks potentially better than Vegex? Looking at Goku, Broly, and Gohan for black.
I think 100% no. but I also think that I'm going to play Dark Broly anyways because that's my dude. But it's and like you can play the. I think only the Dark Broly stuff is leader specific. I think all the other black stuff is you can play that in whatever. Isn't that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So, and people like pointed this out. They were actually wanting. I heard a couple of people say that they wanted the Vegex leader to get errata down to 3 cards instead of bursting 5.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing. Like if you're playing Overrealm, you're running Vegex because that's 5 cards. If you like get rid of a card or something, you're already at 6 or 7. With these leaders, you're hoping to get at 6 or 7 after 2 turns. That's way too long.
Yeah.
That's way too long to be doing Overrealm stuff.
So I agree with you. Like, there's the problem. The Vegex just plays a lot of free cards. So when I started this the Vegeta Saiyan Army channel, I started it by like the foundation of the channel was Boo Chain Vegex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Boo Chain and Vegex and how to beat Vegex. And in doing so, like Vegex isn't completely unbeatable. I'm not gonna say like you have to get good, but he's not completely unbeatable. I don't see these being as good as Vegex, but Dark Broly might be the closest.
Yep.
Because you are looking at like a turn 2, like 30k double striker or whatever. Like you're looking at a lot of crazy cards getting played really early that are really tall. Like you can't out combo that, dude. Like
No.
again, you're not dropping 4. Like that's crazy. So I like also the Gohan because of the utility of having access to double strike and critical. I haven't tried the Goku, but I've played against it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've won every time, but I don't know if it was the player or the RNG of like they drew bad or whatever, but it seemed really good just because having double strike built into your deck is like super nutty.
Yeah,
but
I was really excited for the SS4 Goku too, for that same reason, just the double strike being in here, and on top of that, you getting 5k for every black card in your warp. That's insane. You could win the game with your leader and just one super combo.
yeah, exactly, and that's gone.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, and I was trying to go into the whole errata for Bibidi. It kind of makes sense because at first I was actually like super disappointed because I was like, that's still 15k when every other super combo is only 10. But I started thinking about it, and it kind of makes sense for black because in black, in like Vegex, you usually don't have like a huge hand.
Yep.
You only have like 4 or 5 cards, especially if you're trying to utilize that 1-drop Supreme Kai. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to utilize that 10k combo. But I think that's like the whole flavor of the deck, which it makes more sense to me why they kept it at like maxing it out at 15. Even though that is more than every other super combo, it makes sense because like blue, your hand is stacked. You have like 15 to 20 cards when it gets down into it, but black you're usually only at like 4 or 5 cards, so having that little extra combo power I think helps balance it out compared against other like kind of top meta decks right now that are drawing up to like 10 cards pretty easily. So
And you're 100% right. Like it because Vegex's hand is so low that like a lucky like hand destruction deck that has some removal can really get around to beating it. I've showed a lot of videos of me beating it with like red Vegeta and my buddy Ken beating me with like green Goku and stuff. Like it's completely possible. And also I see myself just playing the new Paragus black super combo for black, the Vegeta, just for the draw to like.
Yeah, it's super strong. I really like the new super combos with it. I kind of was like, they're a little. Depending on how you look at it, they might be a little better than Paragus. Because Paragus, yeah, you get to draw 2 first and then choose what you want to warp. But that card that you warp is like gone forever.
Exactly. Yes,
But
that's that. See, yep.
These you might like you. There's a lot of shuffling, so more likely than not, you'll be able to get that card that you put at the bottom of your deck back during the game. But it doesn't come around often, but I think that sometimes that could possibly be like the difference in a huge game, like in the finals or something. You might bottom deck a card instead of warping it and needing it at that last point in the game to win.
Yeah,
That's a
you're
super.
100% right.
That's a super rare
And
situation, but
and
still.
and you're but it's not just a chance that you might win. It's actually super relevant to bottom deck a card because if you're putting a card at the bottom of your library, you can use a servant ability to bring it back. Or maybe you're using there's cards like Cell Chain that are dead in your hand, but in your deck they're very useful. So putting cards at the bottom of the deck, in my opinion, is like a million times better
Yes.
than like just warping a random card. And I don't know. I mean, my hand usually isn't so bad that I don't want to drop a card first before I
Mhm.
draw the two. I mean, I don't know, but unless you're playing hand control, I guess. But I'll take the cost of doing that first, where I can, because bottom decking cards right now with servant is so important.
That's true.
And you asked me earlier how often I'm doing the baby thing, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing it so often is because the super combo allows me to do it, the leader allows me to do it. Um, and what was I gonna say? But yeah, no, it's a lot better with these super combos, and they do draw one, right? They
Yep.
do.
Draw two.
It's like a net zero
Yeah.
because you're dropping two in a way, but yeah, you're going through your deck. So, all right. So, lastly, we're gonna go to the secret rares. Let's see. Let's talk about the red one real quick. How do you feel? I mean, you can play this one. Are there any spice you can think of? I mean, you can play like the 3-drop Boo, right? That's 35k. But is there anything spicy that comes to mind, or just the Broly and Gogeta that are playing this secret rare?
I love this because Broly's my favorite dude, and the SS4 transformation is my favorite, like, whatever you want to call it, of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, transformation.
So I love this card 100%. But we only have, I think, like 4 targets
Yeah.
that we can hit with this. Both the 2 of the brand new Gogeta and Broly cards, and then I think there's 2 old Gogeta cards that are 35k. I think it's just going to get down to how easy it is to get that card out. Because we were talking earlier about how difficult it is to play swap right now with counterplay just existing all over the game, and why that kind of archetype is just so difficult to play right now. And I think, I hate to say it, but I don't know if this card's going to be used as much. I'll definitely
Yeah.
I'll be testing the Broly deck and seeing how easy it is to get that 35k out. But I think that's just the only concern for this card is how often are you going to be able to get a 35k body on the board consistently. And it's a one of, so you have to have this card in hand too. So but yeah, I think that's just what it's going to come down to. It's how easy it is to get those like swap engines going and to get those cards out.
Well, yeah. Thankfully, it's Broly and not like a BR Goku that's red or something that can be like fished out a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, man. So what you said earlier goes right into this. So you were asking like how easy it is to just get the red Gogeta stuff out. I feel like this is gonna be really good in red Gogeta because in red Gogeta, I mean, you're doing so much storm attacking, and I always call it storm, but like you're attacking with a lot of 1-drops. You're attacking with a lot of like 1-cost 3-drops. Like you're attacking a lot early on before you even get to the red Gogeta, and then once you get to the red Gogeta, like you said, they can't be KO'd. They both have deflect. And then you go into the one that's 35k that you were talking about.
I don't think the 6-drop has deflect. I know the 5-drop does. I don't think the 6
Oh, really?
one does. Yeah.
Okay, so but you are swinging with a lot of battle cards, and I would go for unisons. I mean, if I see them on board always. And
Yeah,
remember,
same.
your leader has double strike, so the leader does have a built-in way to get around unisons, and I feel like you have a better time using this in red Gogeta. But again, yeah, bro. By the way, one of the sickest arts of any secret rare ever. Like he looks like he just took a sip of like McDonald's, like Travis, like he took a sip of that Sprite.
Yep.
He just took the McDonald's Sprite.
Yep.
But okay, so baby, I feel like I love this. Is my favorite secret rare
100%.
in this. Yeah, like this is so good. And you know what's funny? People when they read a secret rare, they're like, it has to finish the game, like it has to kill the opponent. And Cell Xeno kind of soured everyone's taste buds because like that's the baseline now. Like you have to be better than Cell Xeno or not at all. But
On the
this
record, I
baby-
hate that card.
Yeah,
Cells
like
Xeno.
okay. So let me say something. I feel like Cell Xeno should just cost 3 energy because
Hmm.
I feel like it's ridiculous at a free cost. You
Yeah.
just need 12. But like, I'm not like I've never lost to that card, by the way. Like somebody was playing at locals and like I just negated it and I still won the game. Uh, on online I never lost to it. Oh wait, no, that's not true. I lost once to a guy online playing Set One Frieza. So I'll say that. But like, I don't know. Just because I'm not losing to something doesn't mean that I can look at its design and say like, oh, this is kind of bad, because it is like it's weirdly designed. I feel like it should cost 3 just to do the successor.
Yep.
But now this one doesn't finish the game. Baby just gives you like a really good defensive alternative, and it's something that even in blue, because blue untaps, blue ramps, but this gives blue another defensive option that it always needed.
Hmm.
What do you see in this guy? Is there any
I
thoughts on him?
absolutely love this card. It's it's a perfect card to play against Vegex or any like Storm deck. It's super funny to just play this out. Um, I was actually, I guessed when I was like going through the puzzle for it. I actually said in my video, I was like, I think this card might prevent your opponent from attacking for the rest of the turn. And in my head,
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's insane. They're never gonna print a card like that. Why? Why would they?
Yeah.
And when I
Yeah.
saw it, I got super hyped. I was like, oh my god, I was right. But I actually have a question about this that someone actually brought up. So the counter attack, if you have 3 or more energy, negate the attack, then play this card. Semicolon, your opponent can attack for the turn. Someone was asking if someone, say they like trunks it back into your hand, and I
Right.
was like, of course, no one would ever do that, but we'll use that as an example. If someone bumps this back into your hand, does that part your opponent can't attack for the turn resolve? Because in my head, I was like, when you activate a counter skill, the whole green text is resolved, and in the game, you resolve effects as much as you possibly can. So I was like, even though the card isn't played, that's not the cost for your opponent can attack for the turn. And I'm in my head, I was like, even if it does get bounced, your opponent can't attack for the turn. Is that correct?
No idea. So every time this comes up, I slept through. I got to AP English and I just slept through it because I got complacent. Dude, I have no idea. Like, this happens all the time in this game. And I'm lucky enough because I go to the same locals as Eddie St. Hilaire, and I'm always asking him shit like this. Because you know what? Up until last week, I thought that if you play a card by tapping it and just playing it normally, I thought you had 2 counter windows. Apparently, it's only 1. I didn't know that till like last week. Like, I'm still learning so much about the game because there's so many little things like you
There
said,
is.
and I don't know what a semicolon specifically does to a sentence. Just use a normal colon, like, So
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know.
if it was a normal colon, it would be the effect. So if you have 3 or more energy, colon, negate the attack.
Right.
A semicolon, all that does is it's like a full stop, so it's kind of like a period.
Right.
But you use that. I just know this because I had a super awesome English teacher in high school. But normally you just use a semicolon to connect the 2 sentences. Like, they're not together, but they are both like relevant. They're talking about the same thing. So to me, I was like, I don't think it matters if the card is played or not. I think the entire green text should resolve, and if it gets bounced back, then it gets bounced back. But still, your opponent can't attack for the turn. That's what I'm thinking.
So
but
I'm gonna,
like you said, this game is so crazy that we might be completely wrong.
Yeah, because some of the rulings in the game that I've read are just like, even with my, like, I have some of a language barrier, and even with that, and with my knowledge of the game, I still get surprised. Like Dormant Legend KOing all the Abuni units, Abuni tokens. So every now and then I get surprised by stuff. So this will be one of them. I'm gonna post it on the Vegeta Saiyan Army, or if you're listening, go to the comment section, tell us what you think about this interaction. I'm gonna ask a judge. I'm gonna ask everybody, because it does matter. You're right. It does. I mean, it does pose the question of how good is this card, because it does, like, it does matter to its value, because the whole
100%.
value, the whole value of this card is stopping the turn. you know.
Yep.
So if it can't do that, if it gets counterplayed, you know, it does matter. So what was I gonna say? Yeah.
Oh, the
So
second
we'll look into
permanent.
that.
The second
Yeah.
permanent is also huge because it's free.
Oh well, yeah, duh, yeah. I'm not gonna tap 8 energy, but yes,
Yeah.
you drop a card. Uh, let me see. Hold on now. You can choose one other card in your hand, so I can just drop like a draw ape or something next turn, which is
Yep.
cool. I just want to make sure it wasn't a blue card. Now with Vegito, the black card, I do want to talk about this because when this card came out, dude, I heard people like, "Oh, this card's horrible," like, or I heard like, "Whoa, this card's crazy." Like,
Yeah.
so where's your thought on this card, or do you want me to go over what I think about it? Let me know.
Yeah. So the biggest thing about this card, and it was kind of like when the previous draft box with the Goku and Vegeta cards that were black and pretty much I'm gonna call them Power Rangers because
Yeah,
that's what the deck's gonna be. But my biggest thing was like you said, people were like, "Oh, this card's trash. You can't do nothing." I was thinking about the Vegeta leader that counts as green, blue, and every other color, right? It's the Vegeta
yeah,
leader, right?
yep,
I was thinking about that, and I was like, instead of thinking about how restrictive this is, think about the possibilities of a quad colored deck.
yeah,
Like how many cards do you have access to in that? And yes, it might be like super difficult to pilot, but someone brought up a good idea. The U7 engine. You have a U7 leader with this. Color doesn't matter.
yep,
But that was my biggest thing. I was like, think about the possibilities that you have with having access to all 5 colors in one deck. Yeah, it'll come down to piloting the deck, and I think the U7 engine is going to be pretty much the only like consistent way to do that. But I think it's just going to be up to someone piloting the deck well enough and just playing it well. And I think this card, I don't know if a deck like that would be like super competitive, but it will definitely be fun. I think it'll be like tier S fun.
yeah, right. So I feel like it's weird because you can attack if he has 3 or fewer markers on it, but you have to tap 4 to do the activate main, so it's tricky. I feel like the best way that I've thought of is turn 4 with AOD, play this card for 1, awaken, untap the energy, and then tap the 4 to draw 3, and then your opponent can't use counters anymore. I know that I can't attack because I only have 1 counter on it, but you now have a board that's filled of cards, and your opponent just can't counter them. So I mean, I guess that's the only time, because the way you would do it is play it, wait a turn, and then next turn do the 4. But people could swing at it. I don't know.
Well,
This card's super meh.
I just like my brain just clicked. This is a
Yeah.
25k unison.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to waste cards. Well, unless you're playing like some big bodies, you're gonna have to waste cards to even hit this thing.
Exactly. So if you're playing this on like a blue U7 leader, because remember that U7, like you said, doesn't care about color. So if you're playing, for example, Gohan, or if you're playing Vegeta Explosive Power, you can't. Oh wait, no, because I was gonna say use the other secret rare to shut down the turn, but I'm an idiot. You can't have 2 secret rares. Yeah, maybe you're playing a green deck. Piccolo. Oh, he doesn't have. Yeah, I don't know. I think U7, maybe the U7 Goku, use dormant potential to like stop the attacks, and then next turn tap the 4. Because remember, Rainbow Color Energy brings out the Draft Box 5 Strength of Legends
Yeah, that's what I was bringing
cards.
Up.
You can bring out U7 stuff that's not Strength of Legends. You can bring out AOD. So I mean, this is for like a really talented player to figure out.
Yeah.
I feel like there's better options, but I feel like just the activate main of giving your opponent no chance to use counter skills is good. But yeah, man, is there anything you wanted to talk about from the set before we head out? I know tomorrow we're gonna go on tap and just test a few of these decks. Is there anything, any thoughts you have left?
Off the top of my head, not totally. Let me see. I actually have the Facebook page pulled up. Let me see promo. Were there any promos you wanted to go over?
Oh, the promos. I mean, well, I feel like again, if you're gonna, the Vegeta is my favorite card in the whole game. Like that Vegeta promo is my. It's a Saiyan Kaba that has servant on it, and that says everything I need. I mean, you can play it twice in a turn with the with the leader effect. I already talked about the Naruto one. We talked about the Dragon one. We talked about the negate. So we talked about the best ones. I feel like. What's your favorite deck coming out of this set? Favorite and best. What do you think is going to be the best one, and which one is the one you like the most?
My favorite, I think my favorite to play is going to be the Dark Broly, just because of how consistent it will be, and how fun of like, because I don't know how many black decks actually play. Like, does it activate Overwhelm pretty much, the Broly's? I'm pretty sure it does. It like
I don't know.
activates Overwhelms from drop area.
I don't know.
Let me look at it.
You have to test. Yeah, I don't know. It's a complicated deck.
Yeah.
There's so many steps to it, and I love decks. I love decks that you can just pick up and like play. Like they need a good player to pilot them. Like it needs somebody that knows the ins and out of it. And then just because you know the in and out of your deck doesn't mean that you know how to play against everyone else. You know. So yeah, it's a very difficult deck to even gauge because you have to play it. Literally, you have to play it a lot just to get it. So it's an awesome deck to get into. I'm glad someone. A lot of people are buzzing about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But yeah, so you send 6 black battle cards other than this card from a drop area to your warp. Play this card from a drop area. I think that interaction is gonna be super fun because you're not wasting your hand to do any of that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be fun. And I was kind of looking over some other 30k options to include in here. There's a lot of new cards that are going to be just excellent for this kind of deck. But I think it's going to be a nice, fun, and brand new black deck to play. And it's Broly. It's my dude. But I think the best one, it's going to be between the SS4 Vegeta and the Baby. I think Baby is going to be generically good against like anything. But I think Vegeta, if you're liking that ramp, and if you get a nice deck that just utilizes that ramp entirely, I think it's going to be a pretty awesome deck to play. But yeah, I think those two are kind of it's a wait and see for me as far as like the best one between those two.
Dude, that's funny you said, because like I feel like the players, because we were saying for a while, a lot of people were saying that blue was gonna suck last set. Like we didn't think blue was gonna be that great, whatever. And then here we are with people taking like Samasu with Xeno Unison into a Booney and just like killing it, you know? I feel like if those same players can do that with Vegeta, which I think Vegeta can ramp a lot better, obviously. Like Vegeta doesn't even need Xeno. So in the turn of the setup with Xeno, Vegeta can actually just put pressure on, right?
Yep.
Instead of setting up a Unison and still ramp at the same time, which makes you a better aggro leader for when a Booney hits, you know? So I feel like I feel like you might be right about Vegeta SS4 because I feel like somebody's gonna be able to crack it. My favorite is actually obviously Majin Buu because Majin Vegeta because that deck's amazing, but it's like a best of one.
And that's
just
what
like
what we see a lot. So I think it's easily going to be a top tier.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. All right. So what do you think? Tomorrow we'll do the gameplay. If you're watching from home, thank you guys so much for watching. What do you guys think? What's your favorite deck to play? Which one do you think is going to be the best? And any cards here you liked, let us know in the comment section. Thanks for having me, Robbie. This is cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll probably be around. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely love this. We need to be doing this more often. This was fun.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer here. You're going to teach me a little bit about editing because I've been doing this for like 2 months now, and I'm just learning as I go. I'm learning from people literally yelling at me like, hey, dude, can you stop like breathing into your mic? I'm like, all right, might be it.
Well, yeah, I don't have an actual mic. I need to get one too. But I mean, it's however we can make the content, bro. I mean, as long as the content's good, I think I think you're solid.